A pay hike for local sugar farmers this year. An update on plans to expand natural gas supply island-wide. A call for businesses to produce healthier food options for children. And in sports, Barbados women remain on top in the CWI Super 50 competition.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. A 10% pay increase has been given to local sugar farmers this year, giving them even more reasons to smile after Tuesday's crop start. Wendy Burke spoke with the chairman of the Barbados Sugar Industry Limited, Mark Seeley, about the improvements and changes for this year's harvest.
From yesterday, harvesters officially started moving through the cane fields, but cutting for some farmers started even earlier. That's because they're satisfied with the negotiations and the planned strategy for the 2025 harvest. Chairman of the Barbados Sugar Industry Limited, BSIL, Mark Seeley, tells CBC News this is the first increase in years.
We're very happy with the communication from BESCO through Ambassador Maskell and also through the government minister Weir. We're very, we have very good lines, open lines of communication. And, we did ask for a very small, or what I thought was a very reasonable increase of about 10%, because we haven't had an increase for about 5 years. And both parties have agreed to that. So we're very pleased with that. And of course, very shortly, we will be sending a draft as requested by the minister, a draft for a 5-year contract, which, of course, we will go through on both sides. And, obviously that has to be a win-win for both sides.
Another development is the transition to the farmers being responsible for the equipment.
There are still a couple of farmers out there who are getting their equipment in order. When I say equipment, I'm talking about the long blue trailer bins that you see on the road and the trucks pull. So it's kind of a first for us. It's a bit of a transition. Before BESCO was handling those bins. So, but I expect that from next year, we will know the system a lot better, and it should be plain sailing next year. There are a couple of farms that are a little bit late this year, and we're putting together all of the various, the pricing, the price for freighting, and also the contracts, etc. But next year it would be plain sailing, because then we would have the experience.
Overall, the BSIL is pleased things got off the ground yesterday.
We're very happy. First of all, obviously, we would have preferred to start on February 15th, but of course we have to take time from the ARVTU, and they test the sugar content, etc. But also the factory, told the bell on March the 3rd, which was Monday, and that is significantly earlier than last year, and we're very, very happy with that. It's about a couple of weeks earlier than last year, so we're very happy about that, and hopefully next year we will be able to start a little bit earlier again.
This year's sugar yield target is projected to be 100,000 tons. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
Barbados will be seeking to deepen partnerships with India going forward in areas of climate change and renewable energy, among other fields. This was announced during a ceremony at State House to honor India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the Honorary Order of Freedom. Rachel Agard was there and files this report.
There's a view partnerships with India are exceptionally important for Barbados. According to Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Carrie Simmons, it's important to boost specific areas going forward. He says India and Barbados share many common perspectives.
A lot of work is being done by this country in pharmaceuticals, and we are partnering with India in that regard, and along the regulatory frameworks and so on that we must do as we begin now our first steps towards being a country that is engaged in pharmaceutical production will be done in partnership with India.
Mr. Simmons also says it's an opportunity to zero in on areas not focused on in the past. Meanwhile, India's Minister of State for External Affairs, Shri Pabitra Margarita, accepted the award on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's behalf, given for his country's assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic by providing much-needed vaccines. And he says since the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries in November 1966, they have built and cultivated a robust partnership.
Bilateral relations between the two countries have reached new heights under the present charismatic leaderships of Honorable Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Modi.
Minister Margarita also attended sessions at Parliament following the ceremony. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Thank you, Rachel. Barbadians will benefit from several measures outlined in the island's energy and business sectors. They were outlined during debate in today's estimates. Our Wendy Burke joins us now with our parliamentary segment and more on those initiatives outlined by Minister of Energy and Business, Senator Lisa Cummins, and other officials. Good night to you, Wendy. What are some of the key areas covered in today's presentation?
Good night, Tisha. The issue of an increased demand for natural gas was one of the main talking points during today's debate. And in light of that situation, the National Petroleum Corporation says it's working to ensure Barbadians can access the service island-wide. Lorna Jones has those details.
The National Petroleum Corporation says mapping of the country has been completed for the expansion of the service. Minister of Energy and Business, Senator Lisa Cummins, says the NPC is aware of what it will take, plus the cost to expand its natural gas service island-wide. However, she says the mains are aged and are undergoing replacement through an important capital works program.
We've actually just completed a capital mains replacement and expansion program. This was in two packages, Package A and Package B. Two local contractors were responsible for rolling out that project, and that project took place principally in the southern and the central areas of the country, allowing for the natural gas mains replacements to be undertaken. Now, let me put it in context. I believe that the Honourable Chamber and the country has heard on more than one occasion about how aged the infrastructure for water is. Pipes, transmission and distribution pipes. The equivalent scenario applies to the natural gas infrastructure. This is 60 years old.
Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados National Oil Company Limited, James Brown, notes they are working with the MPC to increase gas production.
Over the last couple of years, the production has declined to a point where now we supply approximately 30% of the gas that's consumed. We still do have the wells. We've invested quite a bit of money in the wells, and we've had a primary recovery from a lot of these wells. Primary recovery allows us to extract approximately 10% of the oil in place, oil and gas in place, and now we are at a phase where now we have to implement secondary and tertiary recovery systems. We've looked at, over the last couple of years, at secondary recovery systems, and we've looking actively to implement a program where we extract some of the oil from the wells. And at the same time, we will extract the same natural gas too as well.
A program, meanwhile, will be undertaken to assess the status of onshore wells as the MPC looks to maximize natural gas recovery. There are over 250 onshore wells, over 50 of which are in use. Director of Natural Resources in the Ministry of Energy, Jamar White, says several still contain gas resources that can be tapped.
There is now the potential for doing enhanced recovery, as Mr. Brown spoke to extract the remaining gas reserves within those wells. So as far as we understand, we believe there is significant potential for that. The company has identified potential partners to work with them to determine how best to get that gas out of the ground through enhanced recovery techniques. And we are very encouraged by the potential for doing that in the coming future.
Minister Senator Lisa Cummins, meanwhile, says government is moving to repeal and replace the National Petroleum Corporation Act during the upcoming financial year. It comes amid plans to amalgamate a number of energy companies.
And so we will have the Barbados National Oil Company, the Barbados National Terminal Company, and the National Petroleum Corporation amalgamated into a single entity, and that entity will be a commercial state-owned enterprise not on the government's books, and therefore completely self-sustaining and earning its own revenue, and it will be from their own revenue and their own balance sheet that the Capital Works expansion program nationally that would benefit your constituents, honourable member, and all of the constituents that across the country are asking about access to natural gas.
Leader of the opposition, Ralph Thorne, says he's concerned about the high cost of energy. He says government has a responsibility to control it.
All the responsibility must not be placed on a Fair Trading Commission. As I've said before, the Fair Trading Commission is a regulatory body. The government is a body that creates policy. And the people of this country are requesting of this government a more aggressive policy towards cheaper electricity prices.
The Ministry of Energy and Business has undertaken work to ensure Barbadians, both businesses and homeowners, have access to battery energy storage systems. Project Director in the Project Monitoring and Coordination Team, Delano Scanterbury, says they've engaged in a competitive procurement with regard to the 60 megawatts of battery energy storage systems.
We would have launched a request for information that would have taken place in November of 2024, and we would have seen around 69 entities would have downloaded the documents. We would have received from approximately 11 companies, some 39 projects that have a capacity of 404 megawatts of battery energy storage. We are now in the final stages, as Minister would have said, of dealing with the request for proposals.
Another major announcement coming out of this week's estimates is a plan to deal with the issue of mold in government offices. It was announced under the housing head yesterday. The CAF Development Bank of the Caribbean has given a US $414,000 grant to assist with the exercise, along with technical assistance. Senior Property Manager in the Ministry of Housing, Brian Hines, says they're currently conducting a survey of all rented properties. He says over the last 3 to 4 years, there's been a problem in government-owned and privately rented properties which house government offices.
Some of the practices that we engage in within the building environments are directly responsible for some of the mold growth. Some of it speaks to lack of maintenance, water ingress, inefficient air conditioning systems that have allowed extremely high relative humidity to exist within the building environment, which provides a very good base for mold to grow and thrive in. So we are working at implementing systems that will be able to measure and alert us to conditions that are not conducive for proper occupancy, and will also alert us to areas where we need to pay special attention to maintenance.
Parliamentarians are expected to continue debate on this year's estimates on Friday. Back over to you, Tisha.
Well, thank you so much, Wendy. Coming up, concern the school's nutrition policy is not being enforced. Jamar Andre John will spend the next 28 days on remand at Dodds Prison. This after he was not required to plead to the indictable offences of possession of an illegal firearm and 5 rounds of ammunition, all on January 9th, 2022. John, 39, of Mangrove St. Philip, appeared before Magistrate Joyanne Clark in the District C Magistrates Court. He is scheduled to reappear on April 2nd. A child rights advocate is tonight raising concerns the national school nutrition policy is not being enforced. According to Faith Marshall-Harris, anecdotal evidence suggests the marketing and sale of unhealthy beverages is still happening in and around schools. Anesta Henry has that story.
I'm inspired to speak.
Chair of the National Committee on Rights of the Child, Faith Marshall-Harris, is worried the guidelines of the Barbados National School Nutrition Policy are not being followed. She raised the issue at the media launch of the Barbados Heart and Stroke Foundation's Protect Us. It's time to ban unhealthy food marketing in schools campaign.
We have got, obviously, to approach the situation and put a stop to it. We've got to enforce something. We've got to make sure that the nutrition policy works. And this is why I am very much in favor of your campaign. Because we've got to start somewhere. We've got to get very serious about this ban. We can't just have policies and strategies. We've got to go further.
Meanwhile, Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Davison Ishmael, is calling on businesses to produce healthier food options for the nation's children.
The policy side of things, you're pushing an open door. We're going to get there with time. I believe that as our partners in industry and others come along, and we've seen it. We've seen some of our industry partners who are already moving towards reformulation in terms of moving their products from being unhealthy to being healthier. I want to encourage more of our businesses in Barbados and more of our industry players to continue in that vein. But even as they do that, each of us within our own sphere of influence have enough tools already at our disposal that we can encourage our people to be healthier and live longer, more productive lives.
The campaign reinforces the fact marketing of unhealthy food and drink products continues. President of the Heart and Stroke Foundation, Dr. Don Canterbury, says it is necessary to protect children from developing non-communicable diseases later on in life.
Obesity in childhood sets the foundation for development of NCDs such as diabetes, hypertension, and chronic kidney disease later in life. And then the typical final common pathway for suffering and death and disability is cardiovascular disease. This is why we're the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados, and this is why we are such a strong advocate for reduction of obesity in children.
The campaign was launched in collaboration with the Healthy Caribbean Coalition, Pan-American Health Organization, United Nations Children Fund, Caribbean Institute for Health Research, and the Barbados Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Thanks, Anesta. Government is embarking on a drive to transform the island's education landscape to make Barbados the #1 education system in the world. Word of this from Minister of Educational Transformation, Senator Chad Blackman. He was speaking during the 4th Annual Inter-House Debate Championship at his alma mater, Christchurch Foundation School. Senator Blackman says the island's education system over the last few decades has been modeled on what obtained under the colonial system, and he urges students to craft a future for themselves and to see the rest of the world as their destination for success.
We must now shape our country and the future of the country in an image that reflects our ambitions, who we are, our values as a people, and therefore your learning experience must now reflect one of Bajaness, innovation, agility, but also thinking global. How do you now move from foundation school or wherever you go from here through our education system and become world-class citizens that can engage with your counterparts across Europe, across Africa, across the Arab world, across Latin America and the Caribbean, and to be the best, and to be also global thinkers?
There's concern Barbadians have lost the sense of sin, and some are not interested in saying sorry. That's the view of Roman Catholic Bishop of Bridgetown, Bishop Neil Scantlebury. He was speaking during the midday Mass at St. Patrick Roman Catholic Cathedral to mark Ash Wednesday. Bishop Scantlebury is urging Barbadians to repent and express sorrow for the next 40 days as the country marks the Lenten season.
Are we a people who say sorry to God? Do we say sorry? Sometimes we feel that to say sorry is a sign of weakness. To say sorry is a sign of, well, hey, that's for somebody else. And sometimes we just ain't sorry for the hurt that we have caused or done. And we need to be conscious of our sins and of our wrongdoings. We need to be conscious of doing wrong.
Sports is just ahead with Anne-Marie Burke. It's Sports Time now with Anne-Marie Burke, and the women in cricket are dominating news these days.
Oh yes, they are. The Barbados women in particular, as they will do battle with Trinidad and Tobago women in the final of the CG United Women's Super 50 Cup. This after they registered a final group stage win today over the Leeward Island women by 9 wickets. Playing at the St. Paul's Sports Complex in St. Kitts, the Pride women skated out their opponents for 85 in 31.2 overs as Alison Gordon snapped up 4 for 12. Shamika Connell, that should be Shamilia Connell, and Keelia Elliott took 2 wickets apiece. The Pride women then knocked off the runs needed in 17.5 overs, losing only the wicket of Asabi Calendar. Kaisi Knight was unbeaten on 51 and Trishan Holder 22. Here are the highlights.
Well, Barbados here against the Leeward Islands and getting the first wicket clean bowl.
But they come up against the Leeward Islands over pitch, and she's bowled. The main wicket taken on the part, the appeal goes up and the finger goes up, and she's on her way. Losing the plot a bit. Drives in there back to the bowler court.
One who is on the long-out boundary, but he is not.
In the air court. Oh, my word. Play it back to the bowler.
I would like to believe that.
Swung up. Wild swing there by Anthony. And she picks up from a captain in the air, and Saint Vanny is out. There's no one back in the onside, and had she gotten it past here, she out. Some 76 runs. Here is Libud getting it out towards, yes, the catch is taken, out towards wide, it's long off. Oh, this is a good one, and she's out.
That's what it takes, but because you must get your loose deliveries.
And if she gets one, no one puts it away for 4.
4 runs.
So 4 runs well played there.
There is no need for no indiscretions from a Barbados point of view batting.
In the same area, this time it's traveling a bit slowly, but could get there also. 4 more.
But the Leeward Islands, they would have to get wickets and get them rapidly.
Tossed up as Siavani continues, and made and misfields. It's running out towards the boundary. 4 to get a half century. Pulls in the air down towards back out of square. Brings up a half century and brings up the win for Barbados.
And that final between the Barbadian women and Trinidad women will be played on Friday. Now, Barbados Pride men trail combined campuses and colleges by 233 runs, going into tomorrow's second day of their Cricket West Indies Regional 4-Day Championship match being played at Kensington Oval. The Pride will resume on 29 without loss after bowling out CCC today for 262, with the Mel Evelyn scoring 110. Ross and Chase grabbed a 5-wicket haul with figures of 5 for 70. And that's it for our first look at sports. When I return later, I have some more cricket as well as basketball.
Hey, thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Coming up next on CBC's Newsnight, the Business Report. Government is on the cusp of launching the wind farm project at Lambert St. Lucie. The update was provided by Minister of Energy and Business, Senator Lisa Cummins. It came during the estimates debate and as it continued with focus turned to the Ministry of Energy and Business head. She's upbeat about the project as she touted the successes recorded by her ministry.
Barbados' first major wind farm, and as we speak, the International Financial Corporation is on the ground, and I offer apologies from members of my team who are participating in the finalization of that work with that mission. So, Mr. President, we have a lot that we want to share with the Honorable Chamber today, and I want to thank an incredible team. It is a small team. We literally have a limited number of officers in the ministry. They have worked day and night together with the business team as well to be able to deliver results for the people of Barbados and on behalf of the government.
Meanwhile, Barbadians looking to access a loan from the Barbados Trust Loan can now do so online. This is according to General Manager of the Trust Fund Limited, Jerry Amos, who says it is a seamless process. However, he notes this does not cut out the human element.
If an application fails for some reason, we have someone designated to actually contact the client to find out if that client needs help. 2, if the client cannot fill the application, we invite them to the office, so we have a person there, and we have set up a kiosk that they can actually fill out the form at the office. 3, to ensure that we still have personal contact with those clients, we actually go out to the client, visit the location. There we have the interview with them as we do the site visit. So we still have that personalized touch.
Let's take a look now at how stocks performed today in local and regional markets.
In Jamaica, the market was closed in observance of Ash Wednesday. But in Trinidad and Tobago, Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader, with 1,001,227 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago of $3,894,938.92, followed by Grace Kennedy Limited. And here in Barbados, Goddard Enterprises Limited was the sole security, trading 67 shares at Barbados $2.95 each.
Well, coming up, we have weather with Carrie Ann O'Neill. Carrie Ann O'Neill joins us now to update us Weather Talk.
Well, good evening to you, Tisha, and good evening, everyone. Today in Barbados, the ridge pattern was the dominant feature. We had partly cloudy skies along with just a few light showers. The winds across the region, they are moderate to breezy, and convergence maintained some light showers also across the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 29 degrees Celsius, the minimum 24 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 25 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 76%. Those winds are coming in from the east-southeast. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where the temperatures are ranging from 25 to 26 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows that moisture is limited across most of the islands, and the winds, they are moderate across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where the ridge pattern maintained partly cloudy skies, along with just a few light showers for us here in Barbados. Now, similar weather conditions also prevailed across the Windward Islands. Those winds are peaking for us here in Barbados at 17 knots. The sea is moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. Now, later on tonight, we can expect partly cloudy skies along with a few brief light showers. Further south, convergence maintained occasionally cloudy skies along with light showers across the Guianas. Over now in the Western Caribbean, there's a trough system maintaining some showers over Puerto Rico. Elsewhere, the ridge pattern was the dominant feature. As a result, they had just a few passing showers. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 11 minutes after 6 and will set at 8 minutes past 6. Now, the first high tide is expected at 15 minutes after 8 in the morning, the first low at 1:35 in the early morning. The seas moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. The winds are coming in from the east-southeast and they're peaking at 30 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, we can expect partly cloudy skies along with just a few light showers. And over the next 3 days, partly sunny skies along with a few light showers can be expected.
It's time to welcome Anne-Marie Burke back for more sports.
And I promise cricket as New Zealand powered their way into the Champions Trophy final with a thumping 50-run win over South Africa after centuries from Rachin Ravindra and Kane Williamson. The Black Caps opted to bat first in Lahore and posted a tournament record of 362 for 6. It was built on a 164-run partnership for the second wicket between Ravindra and Williamson, who registered their 5th and 15th ODI hundreds respectively. Lungi and GD took 3 for 72. Despite an unbeaten even 100 from David Miller, South Africa were held to 312 for 9 to give the Kiwis the win. Mitchell Starner took 3 for 43. Now Sunday's final between India and New Zealand is set for 5 a.m. Barbados time. Now, tonight's second games of the semi-final series of the Barbados Amateur Basketball Association's President's Cup will be crucial for all teams, as a place in the final will be decided on aggregate scores. For Burger King Clapham Bulls and 246 Mobile City United Celtics, they go in with the upper hand after winning their opening games. Here's a look at that action. The need to get first dibs was on the agenda for both teams, as in this game one of the semi-final series, Celtics by halftime were in command 51-32 and kept the pressure on in the third. Kazarian Adams with an easy layup. Adams heading back up court again, shaking the defense, dancing through the D, and delivers the goods. 2 more. Lakers were really having a tough game, as for the most part, they were down by 30 points. And we could see why. This sloppy play gave Celtics a turnover, and Joel Hunt's the man to dunk it. Though far and in between, Lakers did eke in some baskets. Tyreek Harewood behind this play. But Celtics had things all in their favor, with all hands on deck to ensure the plays always bore fruit, with Nico Brewster coming up big at the arc. Lakers had some shining moments. David Walk showed he too could bank a big one. With the grand scheme of things, the men in pink made the first statement. Gerard Allen just inside the arc for a nice jumper, as at the buzzer, after leading the third 77-44, Celtics won game 1 of this semi-final series with the Lakers at 92-69. Bring out the popcorn, as the Clapham Bulls also enjoyed first dibs in their semi-final series, with the Cavs having quarter scores of 17-10, 54-47, 79-75. The final quarter is where they applied the pressure. And speaking of pressure, Raheem Gibbons delivers from the arc. I want to give credit to the Cavs, who did keep the Bulls on their toes, especially in the second half. This play was all Stefan Otley's. We're back in Bulls territory. Simeon Maynard finds Akeem Marsh, money in the bank. Maynard then got a moment for himself. He gets the pass, and it's a beauty, as the Bulls went on to win 106-93 to claim first dibs on this semi-final series. And that's it for sports. Back over to you, Tisha.
Hey, thank you so much, Anne-Marie. We'll be back after this break. Well, that's news. Thank you so much for joining us on this Ash Wednesday. On behalf of the entire crew, do enjoy the rest of your evening.